everyone, and welcome to Heartcraftpaper. My name is Monica, and I'm so glad you can join me today. Today's project is brought to you for the Dies R Us Inspiration blog. I will go ahead and link the store website in the description below, as well as the inspirational blog link. For today's project, I'm going to be using the Fawn Sutter card die set, as well as the add-on for that die set. All items used today will be linked in the description below as well. Now, this particular die, as you can see, has a large die that is the main body of the card. And this lovely piece of paper comes from Celebrate Autumn from Echo Park. Now, taking a closer look at this die cut, you'll see that there are demarcations here on the side. Now, those are where you're going to align your little banner pieces, but we'll get on into that later on in the video. Let me go ahead and show you some of the other die cuts that come with this particular die. First off, we have the paneling. This particular paneling does have stitching and goes on the front side of your card. You just lay them as so that way when you close your card, you have a nice look. This is the belly band. Again, this does have stitching as well. It comes as one piece, so you're going to have to cut two pieces in order to make a full belly band. You just adhere them together. Next comes the banner piece, and this is your actual shutter. As you can see, it does have score lines, and we're going to go ahead and work with those later on. But I want to show you how this is going to line up on the inside of your card with those demarcations. They line up perfectly with these little banners. You can see that the lines there, you would just slip your banner right into it. Now, this is the front panel for that piece, but this is from the add-on. Now, that is a completely different die set because it does have stitching. Otherwise, you would cut out a second panel piece or a second card base and then just cut off the side tabs and the top tabs. Now, I came in with the dies that are the newest set of tags. I'm going to use this circular scallop. Even though it does have the piercing here, it's not going to matter because as you can see here, this particular cutout, which is a part of that main die set, will be used. It is an inside and outside die. That is to say that it has stitching on both the inside and the outside. Now, I did cut out two pieces out of white cardstock with this particular die. This front panel is going to be our guide. That way I can center in this particular cutout as I put my image right there in the middle. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using the big acorn for this particular card. Now, I'm going to be using just the stamp itself, not the die cut piece, but it does come as a set if you are inclined to actually get both. I'm going to begin by stamping out my sentiment. Now, because I have my circles already pre-cut out, I'm going to use washi tape in order to set them down. The reason being that the magnet is a little bit too big and would probably interfere with my stamping. I can't forget the face for my little acorn. I chose the little winky face because it's just way too adorable. For my sentiment, I used the VersaFine Claire ink set. And the reason for this is because I'm going to go through and emboss my sentiment, just to add a little bit more character to it. I'm going to go ahead and use clear embossing powder. And the reason why I like this is in the event that something should stick to the actual cardstock, it's going to be clear. There's no real mess anyways, and it'll just look nice and neat. All right, we're now ready to start building out our card. The first thing I'm going to work is my sentiment. And here I have that scallop cutout that I had earlier, the little tag, and I'm just going to put my sentiment right on over that. And of course, it'll cover up the notch that's in that tag. So I'm not too concerned with it being there or showing. For the meantime, I'm just going to set it aside to dry. Next, I'm going to come in with my little acorn and I'm going to color up my image. This particular image is going to be simply colored. There's not going to be too much shading or any other blending. So I'm coming in with E31 all across the body of the acorn. I just want to be careful of my ink because it is a recently stamped image. Usually I like letting it dry before I start filling in colors, at least overnight, just because I'm slightly paranoid and I want to make sure that this dries fairly well. So I'm just coming in with that lightest color, and then I'm going to come in with E35 and just add some shadowing. My shading is going to be coming in from the left side because we have the sun coming in over from the right, or at least that's how I imagine it. And I do have to say, this little acorn is so cute, and with that little wink there, I gotta say it's totally adorable. Let's go ahead and start working the top of the acorn. And for this, I'm gonna come in with E27, and that's gonna fill the whole entire top. And again, there's only gonna be 4 colors for this particular image. It's not going to be overly done because it is very simple. You have a lot going on with the different patterns and prints. So of course, you wanna make everything else just about as simple as you can. So let's go in with E79 just to add in some shading into that darker brown. Don't forget to add a little bit of color also on the stem there on the left side, just ever so lightly. Now don't worry, I didn't forget about the tongue. I'm utilizing E93 in order to add in a kind of a pinkish color to it. And here's our little guy all colored in. Look at how cute that is. Time to start forming our mechanism. Here is the base, and this is where we're gonna place everything. Fold along the score lines, and usually I like going back and forth a little bit just to make sure that it starts to appear and makes bending and folding a lot easier. This starts to stretch the paper and allow it to work. Now you're gonna fold all 4 sides because you do have the 2 sides and then the 2 little flaps at the top. With the folding complete, we can now start actually forming the mechanism. There are 2 little score lines, somewhere towards the center, and they're evenly spaced, one at the top, one at the bottom, and those will be where you're going to place your shutter banners. Let me go ahead and kind of show you how that's going to work. You'll place your items just like so, and then you're going to add glue. You can utilize tape, adhesive tape, but I like using glue because it forms a much stronger bond. Now, this particular glue itself is very quick forming, so not to worry, just go ahead and fold your flap over. Press firmly for a couple of seconds and make sure that it adheres, and simply open it back up. Now you will work your other banner piece, slip it into those little marcations, and you will go ahead, add your glue, and then fold your item over. Once we have everything in place for the shutter piece, we're going to go ahead and open up our flaps. This will expose the center of the card. Now, in order for my little acorn to sit, I have to create kind of a template utilizing this card front face that goes over the shutter piece. And I'm simply going to set my little acorn right there. So I'm going to leave that in place for now, add some glue to the back of my acorn, and then come right back on in and set it down. Just make sure that you're holding that template in place and that it doesn't slide anywhere, because otherwise your card will not match up. Now that I have my image in place, I'm going to fold down those banner pieces right along that score line there. Now I had previously folded them just to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to fold down the flaps, and then I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the tabs. First, I'm going to start by adding a little bit of glue to that top tab. And the reason for that is because the way the mechanism is, the shutter front will be easier to place once I have that first tab in place. I'm going to go ahead and bring in that shutter cover. I'm going to line it up with the tab and then fold that tab right on over onto the shutter piece. Now I'm simply going to fold it down and then place more glue on that bottom tab and adhere that down. Let's go ahead and give this a little test run. I want to open and close the card in order to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. And look at how well that works. Here I have those card panels. Now I probably should have done this before I started building the card, but that's okay. There's always a way to kind of work things in, and this really doesn't make much of a difference. So I'm just going to add some glue to the back of this and then adhere it to each side of those closures. Now that I have it decorated, it's time to work the belly band. Now, as you can see, this has some score lines. And I'm just gonna go ahead and move my card, make some space for myself, and fold along these score lines here. I'm going to glue my pieces together like so. Let's go ahead and get working. Once I have everything set, I'm just gonna fold it on both folds, both opposite folds, I should say, just to make sure that it kind of works itself to be able to slide it on fairly easily and just allows a little bit more movement for that paper. Let's go ahead and slide that down onto the card. Now, this might take a little bit of work, and the easiest way to do it is actually to stand the card, pinch the top, and just get it over those panelings first, because that's the trickiest part. It'll kind of get stuck a little bit at first, but then once you start kind of using them and everything's set in place, it'll be easier to work with. All right, I'm gonna add my sentiment right on over that little piece that has the overlap, just to kind of neaten this up, of course. It makes it look cleaner. You don't see that seam there. And just add as much glue as you want. Again, you can use double-sided tape if that's what you like, but I prefer glue because of the stronger bond and it won't necessarily lift off. Press into place and make sure that it's nice and stuck. All right, our card is now finished. Let's go ahead and have a look. We will go ahead and remove this belly band. I just have to say that I love Lawn Fawn. These look beautiful, and a lot of the items that they make are very well thought out. And the mechanism here is just amazing. I know that there's other companies that have them there, or you can make them yourself, but this has a lot of detail, a lot of stitching. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and hit the little bell up in the corner to be able to receive notifications for new videos. For more videos and tutorials like these, don't forget to subscribe. Visit the blog for more information at www.heartcraftpaper.com. Thanks for watching Heartcraft Paper.